Welcome to Smackey's Garage. Today we're going to be replacing the cabin air filter on my 2015 Audi A4. We're going to go ahead and we're going to replace it on the interior. It's probably one of the easiest ones I've ever done. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to clean out up front here on the intake of the heating and air conditioning system. And I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to do both of those things. So let's go ahead, let's get into it. All right, so to do this project, you don't need any tools, which is really nice, and it's a lot different than other cars, because if you look at how I did the one on my F-150, required a significant amount of tools. You had to take off a bunch of trim, but this is nice and simple. No tools required, just use your hands. Now let's go ahead, let's look at the cabin air filter before we go ahead and take the car apart, just to see what the right shape is, and to make sure that the one that's coming out of it's gonna match it. Okay, so here's the filter that we're going to be using. I actually got this filter from Transit Auto up in Canada. They've been supplying me with some of the parts for the Audi as I've been working on it. Now you can see that this filter is an abnormal shape, normal for the Audi, but it's definitely not completely square. So the one that we're going to take out, we're going to look at what orientation it comes out in, and we're going to make sure that we put this one back in the same way. Now, I will put a link in the description to this filter or the part number in case anyone wants to get it. So let's go ahead and get that one out of the car. Then we're going to compare it to this one, make sure that they look identical, and then we'll put them back together. So the cabin air filter is located here on the passenger side of the car. So we're going to be working under the dash right in there. Now to do this, we're going to look at this little pad right here that's kind of made out of foam. There's going to be a few different things that we spin off. So there's going to be some twist screws. Mine, there's 1, 2, but I think there's supposed to be 3, so this one has been missing. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off. Like I was saying before, you don't need a tool to do it. All you have to do is really twist it by hand, and then it'll come right out. Here's what they look like. So it's a little twist tab with a screw on the end. So it makes it nice and easy to get out. You don't need any tools. Then down we go. Now with that out, you can see there is a white plate. That plate is actually what's holding the cabin air filter in. All we really have to do is, I believe, slide it to the side, and then we should just be able to remove it. So look underneath. Yeah, we'll take it. You see this little handle over here? Go ahead and slide it, and you can see it falling. And you can definitely see there's some junk in there with it. So yeah, mine definitely needed to be cleaned. You can see the cutouts in the upper right. Now looking at these two, you can definitely see that this one has not been changed in a long time. So we're going to go ahead and change it. But you can see all the junk on the inside. You know, really you're supposed to be changing these. So this must be the clean side. This is the intake side. So nothing's on this side, which is great. But you're supposed to be cleaning these out pretty much every time you do an oil change, especially if you live in an area like me where there's a bunch of junk falling on your cars all the time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this in. As we put it in, remember this side is going the top right, and then we just go ahead and slide it in and then put the cover back on. Okay, now all we have to do is take this and we go ahead and put it right back in that hole that it came out of. So I'm going to go ahead and get it lined up, then we're going to push it in. Not as easy to do with the camera in your hand, but after you get that in, all we have to do now is slide this back in. Now after I get this in, I'm going to show you how to clean out inside the engine bay so this doesn't get as dirty again. All right, the cover's back into place. Now we're going to go ahead and put this foam back up, put those 2 screws on, and then we'll go to the engine bay. Now you can still see some of the remnants down there of the pine needles and everything that came out. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look at where those are coming from and how they're actually getting in. And to do that, we're going to have to work in the engine bay of the car. But it's simple to get to. Anyone can really do this step. Now your intake for your cabin air filter actually comes underneath here, so we're going to take this out. You can kind of see some of the vents here, some more vents open there, but you can see all these pine needles and everything that are getting in the way. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take this out. Now there's going to be 2 pins. There's going to be one here and one on the other side. You know, if you're taking this out, you can do it by hand, but the screwdriver is easier to spin this a little bit, then just pull it out. And I'm going to go ahead and remove this plate now, but should be nice and easy to get that out. Screwing it, it'll just pop out. one side and then we'll get the other side. Now down here is the intake for the air conditioning system, but as you can see there's a bunch of junk in there that needs to get cleaned out all the way across. So this is what happens when you park under trees. You get pine needles literally everywhere. And you can see some of the junk is getting inside there. If you look, I don't know if it'll focus on it, but you can see the fan inside there. I think it's the white blade. So that's what's sucking some of the stuff in. But all this needs to be cleaned out. And I think the best way to do it's gonna be to use a nice shop vac to get everything out of there. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clean everything out. You know, I mean, you can see it building up over there on that side as well. And you can see everything is much cleaner in there now. Still a little bit damp in there, so I'm probably gonna wait for everything to dry out, then I'm gonna go ahead and clean it again. But yeah, it's definitely had stuff in it for quite some time now. That's why it's important to clean this out, because this area is where it's getting all the air. So if you do have, if mice or something get in here, you know, you're gonna get any of that mice smell up and into here. So go ahead and make sure that this area is clean before you go ahead and put everything back together. Well, that's it. That's as easy as it is to change out the cabin air filter on these cars. I also walked through the step that I don't think a lot of people do in cleaning out the intake side. So go ahead and make sure you follow this and let me know down in the comments how everything works out for you. Thanks for tuning in this week on Smackey's Garage. I'll see you next time.